In April 2023, India's population officially reached 1.42 billion people, surpassing China to become the most populous country in the world. Right now, every sixth human being alive today is an Indian. India's population is expected to grow further for several decades, while China's population is already in a course of decline. Now, imagine the year 2100. Where will India's population reach? Will it hit 2 billion people? And is India ready to manage such massive numbers? Let's dive deep into the story of India's population, its past, present, and future, and uncover the challenges, opportunities, and risks that come with it. When India gained independence in 1947, its population was around 340 million, less than 1/4 of what it is today. The fertility rate back then was over 5.9 children per woman, meaning families were much larger. As healthcare improved and child mortality decreased, the population exploded. By 1980, India had crossed 700 million, doubling in just 3 decades. That's like adding the entire population of Europe to one country. Inevitably, Government of India launched some of the most aggressive family planning campaigns in the world. The Indian government implemented some forced birth control policies like mass sterilization. As a result, India's fertility rate has fallen to around 2.0, just at or below the replacement level. This dramatic decline means that families are having fewer children now. But here's the paradox. Despite this decline in fertility, India's population is still growing and will continue to do so for decades. This growth is largely driven by something called population momentum. Even though fertility rates have dropped, the sheer number of young people entering their childbearing years means that millions more children will be born in the coming decades. Right now, India adds about 12 million people every year, the size of an entire country like Greece. Projections suggest that India's population will peak around 1.7 billion by the 2060 before gradually declining. That means India's population will never reach 2 billion. But 1.7 billion is still huge numbers, and the real problem is this 1.7 will be demographically very different than today's 1.4 billion. Right now, India is one of the youngest nations, with a median age of just 28. But that will not last forever. See. By 2050, 1 in 5 Indians will be above 60 years old. This raises a critical challenge. Who will take care of this aging population? Unlike Japan or Europe, India doesn't yet have a robust pension and elderly care system. Without planning, this shift could become a massive burden on families and the economy. India is really a very, very big country. Its story is not one story, it's many. In the south, states like Kerala and Tamil Nadu have fertility rates similar to Germany, around 1.6. Meanwhile, in the north, states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh still average over 2.5 children per woman. This means India's population growth will be increasingly concentrated in a few states. The south faces labor shortages, while the north faces overcrowding, unemployment, and migration pressures. This imbalance and regional disparity could create political and economic fault lines in the future. For now, India enjoys what experts call a demographic dividend. Over 65% of Indians are under 35, the largest pool of young workers in the world. If India can skill, employ, and empower this generation, it could replicate China's economic miracle. Imagine millions of young minds powering factories, startups, and innovations. If harnessed well, this could fuel India's rise as a global economic powerhouse, similar to how China's workforce drove its economic miracle in the 1980s and 90s. As companies look at diversifying their businesses and investments beyond China, India is well positioned to take advantage. But there's a risk. If jobs don't keep up with population growth, this dividend could become a demographic disaster. Idle youth could strain resources and spark unrest. Unemployment has been one of the biggest challenges for the Indian economy in the past 2 decades, and it's not showing signs of improvements. Meanwhile, according to a World Bank report, investment growth in India has almost halved from an annual average of 10.5% between 2000 and 2010 to 5.7% between 2011 and 2021. Experts haven't seen good indicators as far as India's ability to use the young population into productive employment. India's government needs to act swiftly to change that perception and ensure that there are incentives to create sufficient good quality jobs. India's workforce will not remain young forever. With fertility rates falling, India's working-age population, 20 to 59 years, is expected to peak at 59% of the overall population by 2041. That means right now India is having a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become global economic power, and government need to act fast as they have only a small window ahead of them. Another hidden challenge is that India has one of the lowest female labor force participation rates in the world, less than 25%. Imagine, nearly half of India's population is not fully part of the economy. If India fails to integrate women into the workforce, the so-called demographic dividend will remain half realized. On the other hand, if policies empower women through education, childcare, and workplace opportunities, India's economy could gain an additional $700 billion by 2030. Let's not forget the double-edged sword. By mid-century, India will not just be young, it will also be rapidly aging. Unlike wealthier countries that aged after getting rich, India is set to grow old while still developing. That means more spending on healthcare, pensions, and elderly care at a time when millions will still be struggling with poverty. If left unmanaged, this could overwhelm public services and drain government finances. So, India's population is both its greatest strength and its greatest challenge. The country could become an economic superpower, fueled by its youth, diversity, and massive workforce. Or it could stumble under the weight of unemployment, inequality, and an aging society. What do you think? Share with us.